Sahara Reporters has released another bombshell. If this happens to be true, then it is over. I bet you, if this happens to be true, if the president, the commander of the armed forces, the grand commander of the armed forces, and the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency Alhaji Ahmed Bola Tinubu, made this position as being reported by Sahara reporters, then it means that it is finished as far as Nigeria is concerned. According to Sahara reporters, Tinubu presidency to critics, Nigerians have been hungry since 1960. You can't judge us by that. Wow, that is quite interesting. According to Sahara reporters, the presidency of President Ahmed Bola Tinubu has been reported to have said that to the critics of his government over the starvation, hunger, and austerity in the country, that Nigerians has been hungry since 1960, and you can't judge us by that. What does that mean? Is Tinubu trying to tell the world that Nigeria as a project has never worked and they don't expect anything different from that? Now, what is the implication of this particular statement? What is the gravity of this particular statement? If that should come from a sitting president under democratic process or dispensation, that people expect, of course, that the government should be more committed to the welfare and to the progress of the country by marshalling out or modeling policies that will address, of course, the basic need and security of the citizenry, coming up to tell Nigerians that their hope possibly is past. They should not be hoping on hopelessness, even in the midst of the renewed hope mantra or agenda. It is quite a very disturbing one. What does that tell Nigerians in the face of this current economic woes, hardship, suffering, ever growing state of insecurity? I mean, insecurity in terms of food insecurity, security to life and properties, and every other. I mean, and every Nigerian today uh, is not certain of what the future holds for him. The reason why, including all across all the facets of our existence, both in the medical field, in the teaching field, in the innovative or technology field, everybody is living, workers, bankers, everybody is seeking for opportunity to exit the country. And if this could be, of course, a verdict indirectly given by the president who said that Nigerians has been hungry since 1960, what does that mean? Where is that hope? Where is that renewed hope? Where is that future? For the country, honestly, it is quite unfortunate. A president who once said he did not believe in one Nigeria, in the existence of Nigeria, making this statement may have reawakened the consciousness of Nigerians over his position regarding the existence of Nigeria. It is quite an embarrassing, honestly, development. If this should come from a father to his children who are passing through a difficult time, telling them or justifying what I might consider as lack of sensitivity on the part of the government. Criticism is not out of place. Criticism empowers and enables, is an insight, and of course, it's an extension of the eyes of the government to get to pertinent issues of concern being raised by the citizens. Of course, the office of the citizenry, even those criticizing the president, on his policies and, of course, program or style of government. They are part of the citizens. They are part of the citizens as well. They could be a very veritable tool in, of course, repositioning or reviewing the policies of the government and making sure that it is tailored and designed in such a way that people, it could address the nagging needs, the sufferings of the masses. But that seems not to be the case. The president seems to be defending, of course, himself, regardless of whatever might be the criticism, not reviewing, of course, his own positions and policies, formations and implementations, and getting to understand that the masses are feeling bad about his government and the areas perhaps they are pointing at which might possibly help him to readjust his policies and the strategy of implementing them and possibly prioritize what exactly the people need at this particular time. People are hungry. It is not the first time, nor the second time it has been expressed to the point that people, I think August last year, there was a demonstration, hunger strike demonstration or hunger protest demonstration, which was uh, predominantly sponsored or that took place majorly in the northern part of the country, who felt the brunt of these escalations and, of course, humanitarian crises. The internally displaced people ever increasing, people who have been sacked from their respective indigenous communities. So it is a very disturbing development if a sitting president could make such a section. It means he's saying a vote of no confidence in the existence of Nigeria. If Nigerians had been suffering or had been hungry since 1960, which means the sufficiency, independence simply implies that the country has the sufficiency, the sovereignty, and the sufficiency, the independence to cater for the needs of her population. But telling Nigerians after 60 something years of independence that Nigerians have been hungry since independence. Now, does it mean that that word independence should be a subject, instead, should be subjected to review whether truly Nigeria has independence? Because you can't be, can't have independence and yet you are hungry. You have the arable lands, expanse of lands considered fertile, and yet cannot feed your own population, even in this 21st century, where you can deploy technology, even, of course, use of drones in irrigations. You can deploy drones in irrigation and harvesting and the rest of it. Nigerians are still hungry. These are basic necessities of human needs. It is quite very unfortunate. In the hierarchy of human needs, security, food, and shelter, of course, comes first. But sadly, that is uh, disillusional as far as Nigeria is concerned. And the president reacting or responding to the critics by saying that Nigerians has been hungry since 1960 is indirectly telling the Nigerians, of course, their move or quest for independence was premature and should be reconsidered because any country who cannot feed her populations does not worth a day of existence. And if in this 21st century, where there are breakthroughs in innovations, agrarian or technological know-hows on how to drive a viable economy or agrarian-based economy, which is chain, of course, of industries that could engender productivity, creation of jobs, and the rest of them. And yet, people are wallowing in deep abject poverty. Tinubu have expressly declared there is no solution to the plague, of course, uh, plaguing Nigeria, to the dilemma plaguing Nigeria. Because if hunger has been there since 1960, it means there is no solution to even the most basic need of human existence, which is food, access to food. And if that have not been conquered, not even been addressed, let alone been conquered, because when you say since 1960, Nigeria has been hungry, you're saying that all the efforts are put or geared towards solving this particular hunger has proven to be abortive or could be considered as a failure and a failed project by my own uh, diction or by extension what the government meant. It is quite a very disturbing one, honestly. And for me, perhaps the president may not have contemplated or, of course, reviewed his statement before or think or pondered over his statement before releasing it. It's a very disturbing one. Nigerians have been hungry since 1960. You can't judge us by that. Now, what is the essence of government? The primary essence of government should be to protect life and property and to prioritize the welfare, the well-being of our citizens. Now, if the successive government has failed in that primary responsibility, then it means there is no government because the presence of the government is not fair. If the people or the population is hungry, and as it's been, of course, revealed by international statistics, certified statistics, that the population of malnourished children, poverty index in Nigeria that has approximately over 200 million population outweighs that of China and India put together. The population of India put together runs over 2 point something billion. So the population, people, but the poverty index in Nigeria outweighs these two countries put together. What does that tell you? That reveals, of course, the gravity of the statement of the president, who said since 1960, Nigeria has been hungry. And 1960 to this date is what? Not less than 65 days. By October 1st, Nigeria would be not less than 65 years of independence. And here comes the president telling Nigerians that that problem of hunger, which is the basic primary, of course, needs of any human society, has not been addressed. Then if that, of course, is the case, what is the hope left? When will Nigeria, of course, walk out of this woods of confusion? Because it's an indictment not on not just on the government of Ahmed Bola Tinubu, but on the successive governments. Could it be the reason why, of course, people are being justified for calling for the volcanization of this country or possibly calling for regional control of government because this government has not served the interests of the citizenry as been disclosed by the president. If Nigerians are hungry and are considered hungry people, now who is doing such damage? Is it Nigerians? How comes Nigerians are hungry? How comes that the state of emergency has not been declared on the food production? Of course, how could there be productivity in the state of insecurity where people felt insecure in the ever-growing state of insecurity, terrorism, banditry, and all sorts of kidnappings and the rest, of course, of the social vices being recorded in Nigeria today. That even the terrorists, the kingpins, are celebrated as princes and kings and given honors and certain concentrations, receiving allowances has been alleged by Ahmed Dati, Erufai, Nasri Erufai, and the rest of them within the country. That Nigerians no longer could access their farmlands without paying ransom or being levied by non-state actors. You see, a country where it's been reported by national dailies that even Sokoto, being the seat of caliphate, is under siege. Over 10 local governments is under siege. Now, what does that tell you about the state of the country? Now, if the regions predominantly are farmers or who has the expanse of land is under siege by these assets. Now, what else can you talk about Nigeria? If Nigeria could not feed her population, then what else is the essence of existence? Honestly, possibly it is a wake-up call uh, for the Nigerian people to reconsider the continued existence of Nigeria, because if the primary needs of the basic primary need of human could not be solved by the government, then what else is the government existing in the first instance? It's a very disturbing development, but I hope perhaps Tinubu may not have uh, considered the implication or the gravity of that statement, but possibly it is done on Nigerians. That's such is the sad reality today. Why, as government after government, people continue to express bitterness and frustration, ever increasing state of frustration, unrest, as some governors of the northern extraction have argued, which means they are not wrong from their own view uh, with the position expressed by Tinubu. The North, the likes of the governor of Kaduna State have argued that insecurity, hunger, poverty, and lack of access to basic amenities and education facilities has aggravated or worsened or is worsening the state of insecurity in Nigeria and hunger. It is quite unfortunate. Now, how do we address this uh, hydra-headed monster, particularly in Nigeria? Well, I may want to seek your own opinion regarding this. What do you think at this time could be the way forward if the president could boldly uh, come to tell the world that Nigerians have been hungry since 1960? I've been that Nigeria, of course, independence has lived beyond 6 decades, not addressing the issue of hunger. Then, when will Nigeria conquer the airspace? Of course, the world of innovation, the technology, when will Nigeria eventually catch up with the rest of the world who have left the basic needs? They are no longer their challenge. It has been conquered several decades ago. But here we are as a people, of course, who primarily has lost its essence of existence and people. because an impoverished nation population risks extinction. That is just the case, as the World Body, the World Bank have expressed worry that by 2027, that over 34 million Nigerians might be killed, might die as a result of hunger or malnutrition. It is a very disturbing development. And when Nigerians are expecting hope and of course, an air of confidence in the administration of Ahmed Bola Tinubu, he has shattered the table finally. And this is a table shaker. And of course, Nigeria could understand the rest of the story. That's there is no desired light, of course, at the end of the tunnel. Now, what you might see might be a repeat of what has transpired since 1960. As claimed, Nigeria has been hungry. So there's no justification for holding the government accountable. The government who rolled under the propaganda and the mantra of renewed hope today is the one dashing the hopes of Nigerians that Nigeria should not have any reason to hold them accountable. That is quite very interesting development. Let's have your own take regarding this and what you think is the way forward. Thanks for watching.